What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about 6 different crypto miners, crypto mining stocks today. We're going to go over CleanSpark, Marathon, Riot, IREN, Hive, and Wolf. Hit that like button and subscribe. Let's go for a ride. All right, so CleanSpark's up at $17 right now. I had a lot of people laughing at my CleanSpark predictions back here. I haven't heard anybody talk in like 2 weeks, right? The only talk I've heard is people being excited about it going up, and I'm excited too, man. I think it's not going to stop here. I definitely think it is going higher, right? Ultimately, the goal is probably somewhere around $50 or higher to top off this next move. But will that be by the end of the year or not? That remains to be the question, right? I think that by the end of the year we could be up as high as like this area. We really could be, but to finish the move out, that might take as long as next year. I don't know, man. CleanSpark, when it moves, it likes to move fast. So, I mean, as you can see, over the last 2 weeks, we got 3 days left in this week. Up 31% last week. We're up 30% already this week, man. It's looking good. Bitcoin might pull back a little bit over the next coming days, but that doesn't mean miners have to pull back. Miners can grow while Bitcoin goes down. Miners can drop while Bitcoin goes up, right? They're not a tethered assets. They're not tethered to Bitcoin, but sometimes they are, right? Sometimes they are. You do see that correlation, but either way, the last 2 days now in a row, we've closed above the 618, the golden ratio. Yesterday, we actually found support on it and closed back up above it. We even actually closed a little bit higher than the day before. This looks really good. I like the daily RSI a lot. The 3-hour looks good too. Ooh, a little bit to finish the day there. Volume dying off as you're getting the higher close. That might not be a good look in a sense. You might see a little pullback tomorrow, and that makes sense if Bitcoin's moving down. Again, that doesn't have to happen, but it makes sense. Maybe CleanSpark moves down and fills its gap. It doesn't need to, right? We got a gap here that didn't get filled, and technically a gap here that didn't get filled as well. That gap got filled, right? This gap did not. Anyways, we don't have to fill the gap, but if we were to move down, going from your 618 area down to your 0.5 or even your 382, it's very common. So we're at 1763. We could pull back to $12, man, $12.50. We could pull back to $14, and that's fine. If not, I think we are just going to continue straight ahead. And I would expect if we don't find resistance here and then pull back, like I was just saying, I would expect, and more so, what I would expect is that we actually do continue up ahead. We find resistance at the 786, 886 area, an area that we found resistance at time and time again. We find resistance for one pass. Maybe we consolidate off the 786 and then continue to move up, or we come all the way back down to the 618 and then move up. One of those two outcomes is kind of what I think is going to happen. Something between about 1950 and 2170 is where I think we're going to top off, right? We're at 1763, so maybe by the end of this week, if not sometime next week, I would expect we see that. And when I say top off, I don't mean like this, like how we found the top and we didn't get above it for even still for like months afterwards. When I say top off, I mean something like this, right? Topped off, and then you moved up, right? When we move up to this resistance area, 786, 886 of the overall move, we'll top off, and then we'll move up later, right? So, yeah, CleanSpark looking good. Let's talk about Marathon. Again, to make it clear what I expect for CleanSpark. If it doesn't move down to fill the gap, if it doesn't move down to get those 0.5s and 382 areas for support, right? If it doesn't do that, and that's not my expectation. I'm just saying that could happen. I'm saying that even though it's not my expectation, I'm addressing it first because if it happens, I don't want you to shit your pants and think something's wrong with this. It's a higher low. It's finding support at good areas. It's taking a break after getting overbought. It's fine. It's fine. If it goes that low, it's fine. Okay, but that's not my expectation. I'm thinking it's going to go up, finds resistance here, pulls back there, and then moves up. That's my thoughts, okay? And what's here? That's about right 1950 to 2170. Moves up to there, finds resistance in that range, pulls back probably to where we are now at 1760, if not a little bit lower, down to about $16, somewhere in that area to find support, and then up higher, right, to those 30-plus targets by the end of the year is what we're hoping for, right? So, all right, painstakingly drilled that over the head with a screwdriver. You ever try to drill something in with a screwdriver by hand, guys? It's not fun. It's really not fun. Marathon up 31% this week, up 19% last week, man. Marathon, I'm telling you guys, it is the biggest market cap crypto miner that there is, but it's up the most this week already, percentage-wise, right? I think out of any crypto miner. CleanSpark has the lead on over the last 2 weeks, I think, and CleanSpark's kind of been the top dog this whole cycle. But IREN, Marathon, even though Marathon is the top market cap, a lot of people think that means it's going to grow the least. It'll grow. It'll see the highest market cap of the rest, but percentage-wise, it'll grow the least. That's not always true. In fact, Marathon, I think, was the top. It had the highest market cap, and I think it grew the most out of any mining stock last cycle, right? It could do the same thing again this cycle. You do have BlackRock heavily affiliated with these guys, right? They own, I think, a majority shares here. Or if they don't own a majority shares, they own a lot. But enough about the who cares what's. Let's talk about the TA, right? Bouncing off of an area that you bounced off before took you to the overbought zone. Looks like you want to do that now, so that's nice. That would kind of mark continuation. It looks like if you took a trend line, kind of best fit. That was not really that good of a line, but something that's best fit to the downside here. You have this channel. It looks like you're breaking out, and this what you're doing now is what they call a breakaway gap, right? These gaps are different, right? They're all gaps, and to some degree they could all be breakaway gaps, sure, if you want to. But like this technically is what they call a breakaway gap. That's a pretty big gap there. And to open up the week, and you just continue to move up. That's a breakaway gap. So breaking out of this as well, breakaway gap. I can't help but think if you move lower, you're not going to fill this gap. I don't think breakaway gaps you don't fill. Everybody says all gaps fill, and maybe they do philosophically to some degree. Maybe they do, but breakaway gaps are more prone to not getting filled, at least immediately, if not ever, right? So I don't think we have to go down there, right? A lot of people would make the mistake that if we got down there that we're going to fill the gap. We could. It could happen, but I think the odds are in our favor that we'd probably hold. We're at 25 bucks. The odds are good that we'd probably not go below like 22.30. I would say 22 bucks, right? Something like that. What was the opening price? 22.30, actually, right on the money there. Okay, from a high to a low, getting above the 618 as well. Nice. Look, you basically look just like CleanSpark, right? Same kind of look there on your daily perspective. I would think same kind of analysis, right? I'm not expecting that you pull back into this gap, but maybe you do. Going from your 618, 69, pulling back to your 0.5, very normal. Pulling back to your 382, very normal. So by the Fibs definition, a move back to $19 to $21.20, somewhere in that zone, could make sense. We're at $25.23 now. A move down to $19 to $21.2 could make sense. But if we do what I think we're going to do, which I would mimic it with CleanSpark, these things kind of do run in tandem, Marathon and CleanSpark. Not completely, but kind of. And over the last 2 days, at least, it seems to be that way. I would think that you do just push higher to the 786, 886, and that's where you're going to top off, come back, find support, and then move up higher, right? So $30 to $27.80, $30.6 to $27.8. That's your resistance range I think you're going to see probably by the end of this week. And then consolidate, pull back to relative targets that relative price areas that we're at now, and continue by the end of this year to get up toward that $44, $61 price area, right, by the end of the year. That's all I got for Marathon. Let's move on. Let's talk about Riot. Riot doing good too. Up 12.8% this week. Up 35% last week. Nice to see, man. Crazy, crazy stuff. Yeah, hell yeah. I don't know if you've broken out yet though, right? Like that's not a breakout. You actually tipped that line perfectly. Like really, you did, and you rejected it, or you look like you're rejecting it now. Yeah, I'd call that a rejection. And that's okay, right? Still overbought in your daily. You could go lower. You could fill this gap. Maybe you do go down to about 13 bucks, 12.50, somewhere in there. Fill that gap, find support on your overbought zone, and then continue to move up. That'd be really nice. And then maybe what you're doing is you found resistance on this line. You're going to consolidate for a second and then break out. I could see that. Sometimes Marathon and CleanSpark will run and Riot will be boring, but then it catches up, right? Then like CleanSpark might move up 20% or 30% over the next 2 weeks. Marathon Riot could chill in that amount of time, and then on the third week, Marathon and CleanSpark move up like 5%, and that's the week that Riot catches up, right? Like it does that sometimes. So it wouldn't surprise me if you consolidated around here a little bit. Maybe not for multiple weeks, but maybe for multiple weeks. Maybe it's just for a couple days, and by the end of this week, you're up here. But either way, whenever you break this, I would expect you get a continuation probably of these extensions here. Look at that. You also tipped your 1272. Perfect, bro. Yeah, pulling back to 12 bucks would really make sense if this plays out the way I think it will. And then you'll probably continue higher I think at least $20. But genuinely, you break this, man, I think genuinely $40 or higher is where you're going by the end of the year. You're at 14.45 now. Riot looking good. I don't think it stops there. Obviously, I think it goes way higher. But Riot, that's that. IREN, our next one. IREN, about the same amount as Riot's up this week. And then only up 21% last week. Only. I'm just saying that because I actually expected IREN to outperform CleanSpark and Marathon in this next rally. And so far, CleanSpark and Marathon are the ones that are outperforming the rest, it seems. But still, looking good, right? You can take this price trend and you can see from a higher low, higher high perspective, you've got this kind of channel. It's not the most perfectly drawn lines, but it does seem, in my opinion at least, that we're breaking away from the bottom side of this channel, right? So we might go up to the top side. The last time, from a relative high to a low, what we saw was a 1-4-1-4 move, right? If we take that relative high here to this relative low, maybe we go up to the 1-4-1-4, similar kind of idea, right? I drew these lines with the naked eye to kind of match where this upward sloping resistance line could be. It's not perfect, obviously, but maybe something around 23.44 could be where we're at. We're at 12.40 now, so 23.44 by the end of the year I think is a fair goal. But even though this is an upward sloping channel, I've said this every time I talk about it, even though it's upward sloping, you can break out of it to the upside. You can hit that upward sloping resistance line. I'm not drawing it perfectly, but you can hit that area and break through it to the upside. You absolutely can. So even though this target area of around like $24 would make sense, it would also make sense, I think, to go up, maybe to 28.50, even up as high as $53 by the end of the year, if not by the end of this move. Like, you really could, because I do expect IREN to rally pretty hard, but we'll see. Time will tell. Time will definitely tell. On a daily perspective, looking good. Getting overbought, and then now you're not. You might move down, might be kind of like Riot, right? 3-hour RSI looks fine. 1-hour RSI also looks fine. And actually, the 1 hour makes me think you'll move up. Kind of actually, with the volume, makes me think you'll move down, though. Let's call for a move down. Okay. Let's see, high to low here. Yeah, down to about 1091, right at your 61869. Fill the gap. Yeah, 1091, right? Not a breakaway gap. It's just a regular old gap. So go down there. You're at 1240, 1091, or around there. And then up you go. Then up you go. That's IREN. Now let's talk about Hive. Hive is the next one. Oi! Getting sleepy here, y'all. I did not sleep, man. I did not sleep good last night. I cannot wait for my 2-year-old daughter to just sleep through the night in her room. She'll start off the night sleeping in her room, but she gets scared. She, as any kid, even adults do, when they're in a room in the dark by themselves, right? And really, she just loves to sleep with us. Man, I love my daughter so much. All right, I'm gonna stop talking about her, but damn it, she messes up my sleep. I'm gonna be missing those days though, man. When I'm older, I'm gonna be like, how come I'm getting such good sleep now? Where you at? Why can't we all cuddle like we used to? Oh, it's nice. Any parents out there who co-sleep with their kids, you guys know what I mean, right? Enough of that though. Enough of that. It's a wonderful thing, man. It's a wonderful thing. 524 is what we're at here on Hive. Looking at it on a monthly perspective, the RSI looks phenomenal. Like, you guys, this is a good look for your RSI. Why I like this, right, is it tells a story, okay? This one, it doesn't really tell a story. It's like, here we go. We started, the end. You know what I mean? It wasn't much of a story there. Here, this is kind of more of a story, right? You've got that story building up. You can see where it's going. You're opening up the book. You get through with chapter 1. You're on to chapter 2. You can see where it's going. You've got a little feel for it, right? Same thing here, right? We've opened up our book. We're a good way through it. We can see what the ending is going to look like, kind of, right? We can kind of expect, maybe we don't know who's going to win the Game of Thrones specifically, but we can assume who's going to be at the end of it. I don't know. Maybe not the best analogy there, but all I'm trying to say is it would make sense that we're getting overbought. The reason why I'm really ecstatic about this monthly RSI is because you're not overbought. You look like you're going there, and you've got so much time to get there, man, right? And when you're overbought, that's when you make your strongest moves, normally, right? Overbought here. Actually, I guess, I don't know, that's not really a good comparison, which is probably why you did just this. Overbought here, you moved up 1,200% 1 month. And then the next month, you moved up a measly 100%. Oh, no. Yeah, moved up for like a solid 3 months there at the end of it, right? I guess 4 months. Over here, got overbought. You moved up 40% one month, 152 the next month, and 96% the next month. Definitely the biggest candles that you saw in this overbought zone, right? Not before it, not after it, but in it. You're not in it yet, and you got a 42% month right now. Okay, if it closes here, you got 16 days left. You could find resistance here as you have before, right? And you might. But when you do get overbought, which is probably months away already, you're probably going to grow for months. Then you get overbought. You've probably got 3 to 5 months of insane growth to go, right? I absolutely expect you'll see new all-time highs for this thing by the end of the cycle, right? From a high to a low, 65, 93, 190. It's on the table, man. You really could hit these prices by the end of the cycle. I would expect at least this. You could find resistance on that 100. I think you could find resistance at that 100. I like that as a target, but we'll see. You're at 524 now. Those are some decent gains for Hive, man. A lot of volume coming in here, man. You loaded up in this accumulation phase, and you're ready to go. And that's a very bullish monthly RSI. I might have to open up some call options on Hive, man. Weekly RSI getting overbought. That's nice. I like the volume. I like all of it. This is actually a really good looking chart, you guys. Hasn't broken out yet, but you're looking like you're preluding to that idea. Found resistance on your 123 here on the weekly. Started to curve down. Haven't been above it since. You finally get above it. Rejected. Now you're above it, finding support where you once found support here and then broke it to the downside. You're finding support and getting away from it. I think the tides are changing, right? If you shifted this to the downside, the 123, the green line, now it's shifting to the upside. It looks like it wants to loop up. So a lot of good things coming into play here. Getting overbought on the weekly, I think, is really nice. The last few times you just dipped in there and then gotten out. So I would like to see you reside in here, right? Your overall weekly RSI does look very, very strong. I like the posturing. You're very set up to do some phenomenal things right now. So this could be a breakaway gap this week. This really could be. It's kind of small, so don't be too hurt if you fill it. You could go all the way down to 450 or so, somewhere around there. That's possible. You found resistance plenty of times in this area. It's kind of too small to call it a breakaway gap, I would say, but still, even with that, it could be a breakaway gap. And whether you go down and then move up or you just move up, I think you've got good times ahead of you probably for the rest of the year, man. Like probably the rest of this year, looking at the RSIs, Hive's going to do really well. High to low, you're at 524, 934, 1387. Maybe you go all the way up to $30. I don't know, by the end of the year, dude. Like really, I'm expecting some. When you break out of this long phase accumulation you've been in with all this volume you've got to help send you up there, I think you're gonna blow up, bro. It's gonna be ridiculous. But before you do that, maybe you do pull back a little bit. I don't know. I like the notion, the idea of you continuing to move up. Maybe you find resistance at $6 and then you pull back a little bit and then you continue moving up. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything in the charts that tells me you have to move back right now. Honestly, if anything, I'm seeing more that would suggest you do continue. So unlike the last couple, I do think it is going to move up more. But that's Hive. Good looks. I get why a couple of you have been asking me to do analysis on this one. I get it. And I'm glad that we're doing that now. I know it's been a little while, but I'm glad we're doing it. Even if it is pumped up recently, I'm glad we're doing it at these resistance levels and not after the breakout. I think this is going to be good very soon. Looks to me, this is out of all the ones we've talked about so far, and probably for the next one even, it's the most bullish looking one for the short term. It looks definitely, undeniably more robust. But watch CleanSpark be more robust. You never know. I don't know. Like this one so far, I don't know. Maybe it has moved up more than CleanSpark. I don't know. Anyways, CleanSpark, Marathon, Riot, IREN, Hive. What was the last one? Wolf. Wolf was the last one. Wolf. Oh, that is a nasty looking weekly RSI, you guys. In a good way. That's that good kind of nasty. Oh man, that's a strong. That's really strong structure, guys. That looks really good, and your price action matches it. Volume increasing as you're moving up. I love it. Monthly RSI. Oh, so good. But you're getting overbought. Could Wolf be like a bright star, be shining bright, but burn out quickly? Maybe, you never know. Sometimes the ones that show the most strength early on, they burn off the fastest, or maybe they last the longest. It could go either way. It really is kind of a coin toss in that perspective. From a high to a low, high to low, you're at your 61869 right now, your golden ratio. 853 is your price. Kind of at a mini phase of consolidation you had here before you broke down. Previous areas of support down here, you could be finding resistance. Yeah, that makes sense. A little bit overbought in your weekly. You could form some bearish divergence and pull back to like 593. I could see that happening. I could see, or like maybe even $5. Daily RSI overbought. He looks so good. He looks so good. I definitely think you're going to go down from here. Just how low is kind of the question, right? You might only go to $7. You're at 853. Maybe you only go to $7. Maybe go all the way to $5. I don't think you're going to go lower than $5, but one of those two, I think that you are going to see some kind of move. So I would think you go down, but then up. This thing looks very, week to week, you're going to continue to go up. This looks very dominant. By the end of this year, this thing's going to be the only one we've talked about that will be at new all-time highs, I think. Genuinely, right? You're overbought now, right? Last time you overbought was here. You got into the overbought zone, 95% move on an open to closing month basis, right? Overbought here, you saw another candle where it was 105% move, and they weren't back to back, right? But 95% from here. That'll take you up to about $16, 16 and a half. You saw another 100% from there grow, and you're basically at all-time highs. I guess you're not there. Maybe you don't see new all-time highs by the end of the end of this year. Maybe it is going into next year. But the only reason why I would expect you see stronger growth this time than you did last time when you were overbought on the monthly is that your weekly this time, it just looks, if it would load, your weekly's so bullish, right? I doubt you had that same look back here. Let's see. Did I go too far back? I did. I went too far back, right? Similar look, definitely similar, but this is much more constructive, guys. Like you can see the difference, right? Right. On your way up, you got overbought, whatever, came down. It's nice, bouncing off the 50. This is a really good look in itself, but what you've done here and just with the price to it, so much more constructive, I think. And with this kind of constructiveness, I feel like the move will last longer, and it will be more robust, and you have more volume, blah, 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 and it's the most bullish part of the bull cycle for crypto. Maybe you don't see new all-time highs by the end of the year, but don't throw that out of the equation because you really could, okay? You really could. I have a feeling that we're dealing with a move that is unlike anything we've seen so far in this thing's history. It's just yet to come. But I definitely believe, something above $17, probably closer, probably above $20 by the end of the year. 20 to 30 would make sense, I think, by the end of the year. And then by the end of the cycle, 141. I don't know about 645, but maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough about this. What's its market cap? 3 billion, 3.26. That's a 79x. I don't think that's going to happen personally. But I could see 263 or 141. I could see that happening. Time will tell, though. We'll see how it goes, guys. Anyways, that's the video. That's it. Wolf and Hive, the last two, are actually looking pretty good in their structures. All of them do. All of them do. But Hive probably takes the cake for which one I think looks the best in the short term, if that's worth anything. So hit the like button, guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content. So far, the only miner that I'm holding is still, to this day, CleanSpark. But I want to add in to some other ones. I had some other ones, and I sold them, but I didn't have much, so I didn't feel like it was worth making the call. But I do want to buy some Marathon. And Wolf has been on my mind for buying. Hive has been on my mind for buying. BTBT, but BTBT moved up a little bit too much already. But I'd probably go with Hive or Wolf if I really had to, outside of CleanSpark or Marathon. I was looking at Riot for a little bit, but now I'm like less certain. I still think Riot's going to do well. I'm just less certain that it's going to be the top dog like I think it was going to be. Iron looks good too, man. You're talking about potential top dogs. You never know, man. It's really hard to say because CleanSpark and Marathon, they do seem to be the dominant ones this cycle. Iron, Iris Energy Limited, however you want to pronounce it. That one kind of came out of the woodworks and started showing dominance too. But then you've got Wolf, you've got Hive, you've got BTBT, Bitfarms. What's Hut doing? Hut 8 stealing the show. Why haven't we talked about this one, man? That's a nice move. I'm gonna have to talk about that one. Anybody that stayed along, I'm gonna do a quick little bit here real quick. Yeah, I think it. Man, we should have talked about this one because this one looks better than Hive. High to low. You're just getting started, bro. I shouldn't. I'm going to take this high to low, but that's not the best one, I think. Yeah, you're at 23 bucks. You're at least going up to 27 before you turn around. Maybe 36.40, maybe higher. Right? I really do like this fib over here. It's got the high and the low, the first high and the low of the overall range, right? 1272 very near, 141 for very near. So yeah, I like that. 27 to 36 bucks, probably where you're gonna go. By the end of the year, probably higher than that, but I don't think you stop here, man. If you stop here at all, the amount of downside you would see, you're at 23, 20, almost 24 bucks. The amount of downside you would see would be like $3.50 to the downside, like down to $20.5 at the most. That's how far I think you go down, and it'd be like that. It'd be so fast. So I don't even think it'd be worth waiting on the downside. There is a class of traders called breakaway or breakout traders, and they would be buying right here because they know that it's coming up. Breakout trading, though, you get in, you get out pretty quick, right? It's not the same as like regular swing trading or investing or anything like that. But anyways, guys, it can be. It depends. It depends on the chart, I suppose. Depends on the time frame. You could set up breakout trades for a long term or like a longer term move. But anyways, I digress. Hit that like button, y'all. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.